President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency on food security, recognizing urgent need to address the mounting challenges faced by Nigerians. The critical step aims to safeguard the availability, accessibility, and affordability of food for all Nigerians. With a comprehensive plan in place, Senator AbubakarKyari at the helm of affairs of the ministry, the presidency has urged Nigerians to rally together to embark on a transformative journey to revolutionize the country's food bank. Today with me on the show, live, he's an expert, also an agribusiness coach, Africanfarmer Mogaji. He's a friend of the house. Let's talk more about this. It's good to see you.
Same here.
First, let's start with that change of name. I think I'm interested in that. We now have a Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. So it's like we are taking this heads on. How does that come to you?
Well, it helps to let everybody know that the seriousness, things have changed. It's not business as usual because food security is encompassing, before it was rural development, just development, but food security has to do with everything. From the people, project, programs, nation, and even security now beyond just food security, as in security.
Security
itself is part of agriculture. So it's a robust conversation now, which, it's a welcome development.
I like to look at where we are. Some people will say, what really are the issues while most of the interventions instituted before now, why we've not had this impact is because the right stakeholders have not been involved. It's good that we let the minister know what the issues are at the moment. So if you're going to talk about this, do you agree to that sentiment? And if it is true, what should be done right?
So primarily, over the years, we've had programs that was not bottom up. It was some people who will sit down and think this is what the sector needs. People who have not gone through the experience of it. We would have salary earners who are consultants come and design program for people who are full-time. So at the end of the day, there's always that missing link of reality. The rubber never meets the road. So that's been a major issue. And so at the end of the day, on paper, it will be a beautiful program. But in terms of implementation, it will be deficient. And most times you don't have the people, as in government and the parastatals, come back to say, we made a mistake early. They don't evaluate, they just run it all through. So at the end of the day, you don't find private sector, even the farmers, they talk about the rural farmer, rural farmer, rural farmer. Most of the interventions, the rural farmers don't want it. It's not what they want. So at the end of the day, there's no buy-in from the farmers. It's just business as usual. And also the design of this program is same, just rejigged. So it's all, let's plant cassava. We focus on 3 things or 4 crops. Meanwhile, cocoa comes out every year. Oil palm comes out every year. We eat goat every year. We eat chicken every year. So we can't afford to pick 3, 4. We must have an holistic approach. We must have the minister focus on the parastatals under him. If we begin to hear that, it's all about tomato, it's all about pepper, then we know the minister is failing. Because it has to. So when the parastatals under the minister is, effectively and efficiently carrying out their functions, like quarantine is doing a great job now. In fact, you would hardly find you think quarantine is a private sector organization now, the way they are operating. So we need the parastatals. The main job of the minister is to ensure that these parastatals work and the private sector.
You actually hit it right, because I was going that route, that sometimes the minister could come with that mindset of really getting ready to work. But some people will just want to force straight, like what the Minister of Work said. I like it, that my file should not spend 2 hours on your table. All of these issues are what we've faced for some time, The minister could want to do something. So how do you see him letting all of this parastatal understand what time of day it is? That yes, we need to get working at this time.
Now, the Minister of Agriculture may be handicapped. He is not an agri expert. But when you check his profile, he's an administrator. So as an administrator, his special advisors, the people that sit on the seats of special advisors will determine how it will work. Because the ministry is the ministry. There are processes they must go through. So if the special advisors are not just advising, they also have targets to work with those people, then they get results. If not, you will find this is how we do it. And unfortunately, the minister cannot go everywhere. If the minister is an agric expert, he can jump into things. But it's what the ministry brings to him that he would approve or appraise. And so there's going to be a lot of time wasting in that, except he has, like I said earlier on the program and this platform, he needs about 11 special advisors, and the government is not paying for them. If he has 11 special advisors, we can grow everything at the same time.
At this time where we are saying we should cut cost of governance.
No, so the special advisors is not paid by federal government.
Yeah, I get your point.
They are paid by developmental agencies.
Wow.
Check from time immemorial. So you have an agency wants to do something on cassava, and they all subsidize or pay the special advisors. They put it in their budget. So it's not federal government that is paying. So we should harness these opportunities and spread it. Special advisor in charge of marketing. You would market cocoa. You would marketing cocoa in terms of products and produce, which is the seeds and co. And don't forget, you market it within Nigeria, market it outside Nigeria. So that's a lot of work to take about 10, 15 crops and livestock together. Then we need value addition. Somebody whose focus is just processing. You're just processing. And you're processing cassava, tomato, cashew, chicken, goat. So we must have that. We must have youth and gender. We must have a special advisor on training and development. We must have a special advisor on irrigation. We must have, we need about 10 of those special advisors. Once they are doing experts, then the minister can administer. Don't forget, now it's a new government.
Yes.
In agribusiness in Nigeria, the agri sector, when a new government comes, it's a lot of politicking. He has to pay attention to each region. They are pulling him. So about 40 to 50% of his time will be managing the politics. So if with the special advisors, they can do the job. Yes, we have a minister of state, but guess what? There's a lot of work. Then the minister needs to pay attention to what's happening outside Nigeria than in Nigeria. Why? The ambassadors are crucial to Nigeria's food security. So if we have ambassadors with timelines and targets and deadlines to say, every quarter you must bring an investor from the country in which you are the ambassador to. That way the minister can go and do all those meetings, high-profile meetings, and let the people do the job. We need more money to flow in. We need expertise to flow in. We need collaborations to flow in. Things are really bad, so the minister needs to be out of the country for a lot of travels. So the special advisors do the job and work with the Minister of State.
That's a lot of work there. You've touched on something very important now, partnerships.
Yes.
And of course, with international agencies. We just hear billions of naira being approved for agricultural development. We hear this amount is approved for fertilizer supply. We hear this is for seedlings. And even recently, a lot of grains were pushed out and all of that. Please, where are these grains? Where are they going to? I'd like to ask that too, before we now talk about how important these partnerships are.
You see, grains is going to be a big challenge for Nigeria. As we speak now, you'll find 300 and above for a ton of maize. So the livestock sector is crippled. The multinationals using grains, also they are having challenges. So grains is very, very crucial. The malt drinks we take, they are all from grains. And the waste from that is what you call spent grains that they give to animals. So if we don't go headlong for our sorghum, our millet, the things we have not paid attention to that we have comparative advantage, if we don't go after that, we're going to fully cripple our protein intake, and which will affect most of the children, especially under 5. So, we need to pay attention to our grains. And guess what? We don't have enough in the country. And unfortunately, the global community, everybody is also protecting the grains they have because of Russia-Ukraine crisis. And what we're not paying attention to also is that the Niger crisis, they buy a lot of grains from Nigeria through the borders. So If care is not taken, let's say the coup plotters decide to, agree to allow civilians to take office, there's going to be a rush for Nigerian grains, further depleting what we have. That is not enough. So the grain business is a dicey thing that we need to pay attention to.
Let's practically look at some of the schemes that we've had before now. I know the Anchor Borrower scheme is one of it, and we've had other supports to come in. And at the time, I knew the CBN was out to say the refunds or the returns on all of these loans seems not to be commensurate to what's being given out. So I'm looking at it. A new minister is in. How are we going to institute new policies? Are we going to try to balance those accounts? Or where do we really stand with regards to initiatives like this one? Or we're just going to, the money will just go like that? Is it going to be the money for the boys?
So you said we should be practical.
Yes, about it.
I'm seated here.
Yes.
I also have loans, not to banks. About 95%, if not more, of the agri space today, they are all, policies have crippled them. So, and it's a function of, in Nigeria, we call it man, no man. Man, no man in the sense that, they bring out a policy, you can't bring in corn. And it cripples everything. Increases the price of maize from 45,000 per ton to 145 in 3 days, and it stays for 6 months. After that, 45 days later, you say, oh, a select 4 can bring in the grain. And the select 4 will now hold everybody at the jugular.
Yeah.
When Xenon Oil was the only one allowed to bring in diesel into the country, so that crippled business. So there was no diesel. 2009, we lost 250 acres of corn during dry season for irrigation, because we had 3 million running around the country with cash in his saying, and we could not get diesel. After that policy, when we were able to get diesel, the farm was bad. Then Oyo State government now came up with another policy that you cannot buy more than 50 bags of fertilizer, at a go. So we had to apply. By the time it's your turn for them to visit your farm, to write a report, the maize we planted had grown, and we're doing commercial. So policy. State policy does not align with federal. Even the most of what we've had also is that the ministries and the parastatals don't align with the presidency. Some of the river basins will be increasing their land charges when the president is saying we want food to be available. Land is fixed for government. So all these challenges, so you take a loan, it's easier if you take a financial institution's loan. If you take loans from private sector, you are done for it. So all this changing of policy today, this, tomorrow, that, it is really affecting. We have crippled the livestock business in the country. We have also crippled the crop sector because of policy. One administration under Obasanjo said we should not import anything cassava. The next administration under Yar'Adua lifted the ban, and they were bringing cassava products.
Was that where we had cassava bread? We're talking about
cassava bread.
That was Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Yeah, after Jonathan left, we all have all these policies. They are just retweaking these things. It's the same content. And they want to always bring fresh hands to run the project instead of rejig what is happening. So many players are having issues. When this minister comes, you see, we focus on rural farmer. How about people like you and I in the private sector who have facilities, who have infrastructures, who have cleared the lands, who have dams, who have massive poultry, but the price of maize due to policy has crippled it. Those people they can produce, you can target, you can monitor, they won't run. But the rural farmers, they side sell. So we need to also understand that the private sector today is still part of government. And their policy has crippled almost all the investments. Name an industrialist in this country, a very big and rich person that you would say. They have agri projects all moribund. Banker, major people who own banks, people who own insurance companies. So if it's affecting everybody across board, so we're all not smiling. So many of us have to sell things, and after you have sold, we now have to pray.
Or you can buy back.
As against, using strategy. Yeah. Strategy is not working because policy is not stable. And so emotionally, you need to be balanced to be able to do
investors
things.
will not look at you if you don't have stable policies in your country.
Investors won't look at you.
Come.
Then, unfortunately, also the kind of people so Anchor Borrell was domiciled with the CBN.
Yes.
CBN did not have the capacity in terms of human capacity. It's just a department, development finance. How many are there in every state? And you now, and you want 10,000, 15,000. So bottom line is CBN, the Anchor Borrell sidelined the ministry. And the ministry are the ones with the grassroots knowledge. So right now, we need just supervision. We need CBN to monitor and evaluate, not get involved. And let's call a spade a spade. The CBN also probably avoided the ministry because they will create loopholes. So, but they need to work outside the system now and work directly with farms that you can track, you can monitor, you can locate, and also fund them. The 500,000 acres that government is talking about, where will they find it? Those are in the lands of someone with 100 acres, 200 acres, 300 acres, all across the country. Moribund are not doing anything currently. So if they put that money in, that's working capital. They don't need to clear any trees. There are fish farms I can show you in Ekiti, spanning 14, 15 acres, lying fallow. So we need a turnaround approach. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an excellent turnaround manager. So his skills is what we need now. Turnaround in the agri sector, not business as usual.
Let's wrap up on this very important note. Let's talk storage and value addition. We've gone this route before, but I think it's also something that government needs to look at very seriously at this time. We shouldn't be pushing cocoa out and coming back with chocolates. We shouldn't be moving in even petroleum products and bringing in crude oil and bringing in refined petroleum products. So in the agricultural value chain, what are you thinking around storage and value addition? Quick one for the minister.
The minister needs to pay attention to one thing. We've not explored it. Leveraging our religious organizations. They all have funding they keep for long term. There's Islamic funding. We have the churches that have a lot of funding for long-term projects. They are the ones that can fund processing. So we need to explore bringing them in as collaborators. Talk to the big churches for them to fund storages. They have parishes, they have regional systems. They are in every local government. So encourage the churches and the people with Islamic funding to do this developmental project, and federal government and state government don't need to disturb their heads so much. Everything we need is in the country. If we are looking outside to raise funding, we will not feed the country. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has something that is working for him. There's a lot of darkness. So if you light a candle in darkness, it would light up the house. Right. Everything he needs in the country, he just needs the right people that know what to do, especially with the river basin. The river basin is something they talk about, but they cannot implement with it right now. So they need the right people with the right information to get things done, very fast.
Interesting chart there, Mr. Africanfarmer Mogaji. They have been speaking to him. He's an expert and an agribusiness coach, educating us and letting us know where the minister should look at moving on, talking about food security in our country. I must thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in live. We appreciate that, and have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me.
All right then.